I'm not sure how much this fits in, but all counselors in our area take drop-in calls, which are high volume, quick solve most of the time, issues that students have. It's not unusual to get phone calls for students looking for help or in absence from the class. And I have, on a couple of occasions, gotten a parent or someone who, without my knowledge, doesn't want to share a lot. They're hoping to stay anonymous by being on phone. And without me explaining to them what my motivation is, I might ask a name, ID, number, department, and things like that. Very, very identifying information. My motivation in doing that is to send a form around, get in their schedule, notify their instructors, ask them for permission for how much I can share. But if I don't tell them what my motivation is, I've had a lot of people that just, well, I was just calling to ask my, don't necessarily want to share, and I'll say, well, I don't need to know the whys and wherefores if you don't want this shared, but my presumption being that they would want us to do that. So there's a sample of, if I don't say firsthand, I'd like to help you with this, I can notify your instructors for you. Would you like to share that information with them and go through the whole process? I have found myself on the end of the phone of someone who doesn't want to share that.
Yeah,
or they,
hang up.
well, they're happy to after they realize why.
Right.
But no, especially if it's a sensitive issue that they're providing this in.
So would this be something that you do only in response to someone not?
This
really-
is something that when you're in a hurry and you have a room full of people, you're thinking, I'll just get this call real quick, and then you're thinking, oh, okay, you don't stop to think, well, they might be in a hospital for a sensitive reason, or they might have the flu, or they might have a death with them. You're not, and you immediately think, oh, stop, go back. This is someone who isn't familiar with the process, who they don't necessarily know that this is confidential, so you have to stop and reassure them of all those things. And,
So your perspective at the beginning was you want to get this work done.
well, and we have policies that you presume people know a lot of that. No, they don't.
Yeah.
We're so used to them that unless we get the protocol of how to present it to them at the beginning,
Right.
they're protected, but they don't necessarily recognize it unless you reassure them.
Right. Good, good, okay. Another person might volunteer.
I was going to do another one, but hers was so good it triggered something else. A few years ago, I was starting a pilot project in Indiana, and I was doing some basically cold calling to other agencies to get people on board with this program. And I called one agency that is not unfamiliar in this town, and I talked with the person, and I said, I would like to meet with you. And my supervisor said, wait a minute, you just said I'd like to meet with you, and that may have irritated or put them off or something. So my goal was to get connected with them personally in a meeting. But what I could have done a lot better was to give more information about what the program I was starting is and what my role was, and ask if it would be possible to meet with that person.
So the context there.
Yes.
Very good. Anybody else? Yes.
Quite often, a lot of patients come in, but they bring like a family member with them, or adolescents with their parents,
Right.
and you obviously pick to a certain area with like questions, you want them to be alone.
Right.
So sometimes you just ask them to leave, but you don't really explain things, but obviously a better way to kind of give them, like this is for the comfort of the client, or I noticed that you're answering for them, and
Right.
so those comes to mind a lot.
Yeah, I think that really, again, explain why you're doing something. I mean, you can do it very just like, say, you know, this is the norm, this is what the state requires of me, but this is the thing, and we'll talk afterwards perhaps, and if the patient gives permission, we'll talk about more about it. So, go ahead.
Actually, one of the big things I thought about when you were talking about the guy going to the head of to get the Xerox machine, was that I see a lot with clients is that the one who walks in the room and changes the TV station. I mean, that they don't, see at that point, they should they probably need to, in a true social study, give an emotional account why they think that we should change the TV
Right,
station.
yeah.
Rather than just going in.
Yeah, I remember my my wife said that her father would come in and do this, change the TV station and stuff. So I try to be more sensitive, and I go in and I tell my boys, I'm changing the TV station because you've been here for 3 hours. I haven't done anything but outside in the working yard. I watch the Browns beat whoever. So I go in, and so I give just a little bit of motivational kind of, oh, okay. I kind of explain that rather than just going in and just doing it. So, it really helps to again, set the context where you're trying to do this. So, great. Great answer. All right. So again, this is something that you can use with your clients right now. You have my permission to take motivational count as one of the CET concepts and use it and teach your clients how to do this. This is something that we use almost as a meta language. That we'll have a client will come in and be running late for an appointment, and they'd say, I'm here. And say, okay, George, give me a motivational count. What's going on? Why were you 15 minutes late? Oh, okay, well, my alarm, the apartment, I lost electricity last night, and my alarm clock got all messed up, and I got up late, and that's what happened. Okay. George is usually pretty much on time. So this is giving that. Same in a work situation, you could also use that in the boss to give a motivational account why you're doing this. And kind of teaching how to use this. You use this, the thing I gave you before, the little handout here. Okay, sit down and just go over that with the client and teach them how to do that. Again, we have a number of different other cases where I have a little language we do with our clients, but this is something you can really take home and to use. I think. What do you think? Does it make sense to you?
How long does it take? I mean, I'm sure they would have to practice that.
Right.
Just immediately be able to do it.
So that's why you do the homework stuff. And that's why we do it in group. And like before, you're asking about what are the other clients doing while we're doing this sort of work and homework. And they're paying attention to how other people give motivational counts and what their homework is like and stuff. And what I found is that CET is like group therapy on steroids. Y'all talks about group dynamics and that sort of stuff, who's the dominant person, etc. When they get involved in CET, they have both the experience of doing the computer work and then really getting to know clients, other clients in ways that they don't do in other situations. They're not talking about all their problems and all the illnesses and the conflicts they have with their brothers and their families and stuff. They're talking about real life things, real functionality type stuff. So they get to really bond in a much different way. And it's just really good. Susan?
Yeah, one thing I think
Sure.
that's, that's important too is, like, I've taught this to my kids, and they need reassurance that people are nice, you need to do that. Most people are not going to be mean to you. But you need some assurance that this can work out before a person tries it, because it's a little anxiety producing. Thinking, well, what if they spit in my face?
If you do this explanation, that's much more acceptable. One thing that Sam said was that it's not really amazing that people with schizophrenia have a hard time dealing with adolescence and learning how society functions stuff. It's really how any of us did that. To survive and go through, and looking at kids now with TV and the internet and the games and stuff, it's really amazing to be able to learn that stuff. So what we're doing in CET is really helping people to learn the basic concepts of CET, and that then help them understand how society functions and work on it. That's right.
Can this CET be tailored to for the patient that come through like inpatient unit where they have 2, 3, 4 group sessions?
Yes,
As a way to kind of start the foundations, because having patients stay for a year and have people pay for that and all the other issues, it seems that's pretty good, as you said, group therapy on steroids, that's pretty good description.
Right.
So has this anybody come say, these are the principles of this, and then you go and then tailor it to your own setting?
We tailor to different people's settings. We have, one of the sites we do is at North Coast Behavioral Health Systems in Cleveland, Ohio. It's a state hospital. It's about 240 beds now. When I was there 25 years ago, they had 615. So the people there are folks who are very chronically ill, a lot of forensic holds. And we reduced it from 48 weeks to, I think, 32 weeks because we had it during the regular form that people were getting better at getting discharged when they get the whole process. We think it's really important to do that. The research has really shown that the longer you're involved in this sort of program, the better the results are. people always want, can I do it in 6 weeks, can I do it in 16 weeks? You can get something of it, but it's really not gonna be the quality, and it's not gonna be as truly transformative as if you do the full 48-week program. But we tailor it to different sites, like say to the state hospital, somewhat different tailored. We just graduated a class from the City Mission of Washington, PA. And it's, when they approached us, we thought, was this really the right place to do it? But because their clientele, about 75–80% of their clients were on psychotropic medications already. And these folks were people with major substance abuse problems and some psychiatric issues. They really want to prevent the recurring recycling of patients through their program, the clients through that. They get sober, they get right with God, they get into housing, do a part-time job, and they go 4 or 5 months, and they go fall off the wagon and recycle and stuff. So they really found it to be a very effective program. So we can tailor it to different organizations. But I think reducing the length of time is a real challenge to do, and I don't think it's the right way. Originally it was 55 weeks, we dropped it down to 48 weeks.
Who pays for this?
Who pays for this? In most states, Medicaid pays for it as individual therapy, as group therapy, computer work some, and it's very recovery oriented. I was talking to folks last night, this would be a recovery funded program. Medicare also pays for it, and third party payers, and we've had families who pay totally out of pocket to do this, $8,000. So, I mean, if you think about it, it's almost paying for the books for 1 year of college, or room and board for 1 year. Join this, people really get back into functioning much better. This is another one, idealism and realism. Again, another example of a talk, and we go through and do the same sort of stuff that we do. Many clients have an idealistic way. Like I had a client, Stan, whose brother was vice president of a bank, and Stan says, I'm not going to start out as wedding tables or stocking shelves at Staples. I want to become vice president of the bank. That's what my brother's doing. I got to be at least as good as my brother. And that really is not realistic. So you keep trying to balance it out. But don't be, well, I have schizophrenia. I'm a schizophrenic. One of my clients used to say that. Say, yeah, you have schizophrenia. You also, work at a drugstore, you raise goldfish, you keep the neatest apartment I've ever seen, you're a big Indians fan, and you have schizophrenia. Okay, so you need to balance that out both ways. And so,
I don't know about the Indians fan stuff.
it's always next year. So again, the homework question we would do and come back and talk with them about this. This is our exercise. Okay, I need 2 more volunteers to come up. Remember, you get a prize. It's not hard. Sarah survived, Dorothy survived. Oh.
I'll go.
Okay. We have 1. We need 1 more. Don't want to be up there by yourself. Or volunteer somebody. Let's see. Or Jessica, why don't you work at the Wabash, right?
I do.
You volunteer somebody else here to come up with you? You know what? These old strangers.
Yes, they are. I'll do it, but I'm visually impaired, so if there's anything to do up there, I won't be.
You have to read this.
Okay.
Okay. Come on, guys, gals. Oh, okay, Lucy, that's great. Joey, do we have any magic markers, dry erase markers? Ready?
It should be in there.
Right here, okay. Oh, yes, there are, okay. So this is going to be a little challenge because we're doing this the same time. See how we can be flexible about this. I want you to write on this. 12-word email that comes out of this, okay? So, I apologize for all this up. So the facts are, an art dealer went to Paris on one of his frequent trips and took up residence at a hotel where he used to stay when I was in Paris. He just was about to conclude a series of promising deals with some art galleries when he came down with the flu and developed a high temperature. Since he was a good customer of the hotel, he received excellent medical care and plenty of attention from staff. He was quite comfortable, but his business mission was about to fail if help did not arrive within 2 days at the most. His wife, who currently held another job, had been his able and trusted business partner in previous years. The art dealer decided to inform his wife of his condition without alarming her and asked her to come and help out with the business. Unable to reach her by phone or fax, he arranged to send his wife an email, which he would receive early the next morning when she went to work. Circumstances: the email server of the hotel limits outgoing emails to 12 words or less. Assumptions: the wife could get away from a job at a moment's notice. The couple had an excellent relationship. They communicated with each other in direct, precise language. Okay.
He's in Paris.
And she's in someplace else in France.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I can't.
Sorry, I can't
Not
comprehend
in
reading.
line,
I mean, I just see it.
See it, okay. So what we're trying to get you to do is to do a 12-word email. So, and you want to do is to get the wife to come and help the art dealer.
Immediately.
Within,
And she knows the business,
she knows the business.
so we just need to tell her, I'm sick, please come.
Presents.
And
So this exercise, again, is to be able to take the wife, the art dealer has to take the wife's perspective
please,
and to be just in 12 words.
okay.
Be done in
We're gonna
9.
say, please come. Is ASAP one word?
We'll do that.
Oh, boy.
Okay, I can hear what you're saying.
Sick.
Sick, all right?
Sick. And need your help. Do we get extra credit if it's less than 12 words?
Sure.
Your 2 brains.
It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so where's she supposed to come? Where's she supposed to come? Ooh.
Okay.
So doesn't she know he's in here?
Paris is a pretty big city.
We're at the Hilton. Paris Hilton.
All right. Okay.
205.
Okay, but okay, so the wife say, oh my God, he's sick. Is he on death's bed? No.
How many words do you have up there so far?
Sick.
Not
Barely.
Not dying.
This is their calendar, guys.
Barely sick? Mildly sick.
Mildly sick, okay.
Well, then why do you need help?
Temperature's only 102, not 104.
102.5.
Okay, so you're coming to the Hilton, mildly sick, and so does she need him to come there? He needs her to come there because help to what? Help nurse him back?
We're assuming she knows that.
When you assume, you make an ass out of you and me.
Need
So-
your art help.
Art help. She gonna need to paint a painting?
We're not gonna tell her this.
She's gonna help, he needs her help to paint something?
Help with the sale.
Sales help.
Hey. This is not a good process.
Thank you.
Sales help.
What's that?
Okay, and
Business help, what's
I guess ASAP means we get the time at. So what I tell folks is to do the old newspaper adage, when you see a paragraph, you're supposed to know the who, what, when, where, how, and why of that. Does that?
We could let off, please.
There you go, yeah.
Well, you say you're mildly sick, and you need your sales help.
Milton room 205.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Right. So we could even put the Paris help. There we go.
Well, that's pretty good. Usually, pretty good. Okay, very good. Let's go. And you get your brains. That's good. Thank you. So again, what we're trying to do with the clients is to get them to be able to take, again, another person's perspective to help them to be useful. And let's get some feedback again on how they did on their work there. Intellectually, how intellectually did they do? Yes.
They got through it.
They thought through it.
Well, and they were communicating a lot.
Okay, so they thought through it fairly well. They understood what the problem was. You know, I would usually probably give more of an induction, more explanation of what the whole process was, but I wanted to get through that. So emotionally, how were they up there? They were focused. They had a little bit of fun, I think. Interested in doing that and stuff. Okay. How about as teamwork? So I'll talk to the psychologist here.
They
So,
seem to communicate well with each other.
right. There were no one was more dominant over another person in doing that. And response to coaching, when I gave them some ideas and some stuff, did they do a lot of that? And they did a little bit more, I think, because this is something new to them and I had to kind of explain it as I was going along. But they did a good job of that. So think back, your clients. Do your clients do this? Maybe not today. But this is probably about week 32, 34, something like that. This is fairly high level, it's abstract thinking and stuff. So folks have to work up to this process. Let's see. Okay. So again, we average 80 to 90% attendance, 85% across all the sites. My favorite quote of all CET is, I come to CET because they treat me like I've got a brain. We also make them use their brains in CET. These are the Conways that they're one of the founders of my old agency, and they really got their son back. It will be much more functional. He ended up marrying another client that they were high school sweethearts until he became ill, and then he got to the point where they had to do restraining orders and a bunch of other stuff, and then his sweetheart, when she was like in her mid-20s, had a horrific car accident, was given last rites 3 times, and recovered, but she had major brain impairment. They ended up both joining my agency, and we reconnected them, and then they both went through CET. And they said their marriage built on CET. They were able to use that as a, kind of their language of how they get along with folks and stuff.
This may be jumping the gun right ahead, but I began to think, so how can we integrate this into our community, and what kind of organizations, and what is the cost to the organization to begin to do something like this?
You're jumping ahead a little bit, but we basically need to find an organization. We talked last night, the little planning coalition, in dinner last night, and they look at trying to find an innovative agency that wants to kind of host this, but then have it open to other people in the community to make referrals to get folks to go through CET and join us. And then to bill Medicaid, hopefully, for the actual operational costs.
And there's purchase cost?
Yes, there's a training cost. What we do basically, again, is that my trainer or myself or another of our staff will come out here once a month to Lafayette in person and co-lead 2 CET groups and train 4 to 6 professionals as we go through the whole process on how to do CET. Once we do that training, which takes approximately 14 months to do, then you're certified as CET coaches. We do an annual fidelity to model licensing fee, make sure we continue doing that whole process. And then the other 3 weeks of the month, we stay in Cleveland, but we have a video conferencing system. So we're like the head in the box in the group, and we're really doing that. So there's a lot of initially hands-on stuff, but we taper that down. But there do consultation and training as we go along. Provide, all the manuals, and the posters, and the software, and video conferencing, and so on. The whole shebang.
Now, does insurance recognize that this is a specialized treatment, or they're supposed to pay more than the average group therapy for?
We've not billed it as such, we've not touted it as such. We just billed it as group therapy and individual therapy through Medicaid, Medicare, and so. There may be a way, each state does things differently, so there may be a way for Indiana to do something differently here. I'm willing to look at that.
So do private insurance companies also cover it?
To the
Like, for
effect
instance,
of the
Purdue
policy.
employees
Yeah.
with their insurance coverage?
Yeah, it's once a week for 48 weeks, so most policies run out.
Oh, I see.
Medicaid, Medicare don't,
Okay.
but other policies do. Run this.
Purdue's insurance will cover therapy up to a year if it's medically necessary, so they would just have to make a case for it, that's all.
Right. So we can make a case. So let me, a few more thoughts. I'll show you a couple of tapes here too. So this is part of the research. So it's not a meta-analysis of cognitive remediation. That it actually works in the field. It can be generalized to the everyday life. So not just doing it in the community, in the group here. But the quote that I really like the most is what's more important than the surface characteristic, for example, using a computer, is the techniques of specific and explicit training of strategies and use of various transfer techniques, as shown in improved functioning outcomes for these approaches. Basically, what she is saying is that being able to not just do computer stuff, to give folks some really examples of how to do better in their lives, how to give motivational accounts, why it's important to take other person's perspectives, that sort of stuff, and how to use that in everyday life as a rehabilitation program. It's a holistic approach. So we're not doing just computers, we're not doing just individual work, we're not doing this group stuff. We're smooshing them all together and giving a rehabilitation context to it. So the whole paper is up on the website. Like that. So what I like to do here again is to show you a clip. This is an initial interview for clients. Can you hear this or not?
No.
No. Okay. Is there anything different you'd like to have about your thinking? Any goals achieved?
Is there a volume on the speaker?
Because of my parents, I'm living there and they're big part of me. Finding an orientation back. It's a long process.
Okay, let me tell you about Dan. Dan is a graduate from Ohio University, cum laude. He had schizophrenia diagnosis at age 19. And when he started CET, he was living in his parents' basement in a very nice suburb in Cleveland, and they were his guardians. So this is what he's talking about. And we asked him a couple of questions about, is his thinking okay? Is there any problem with his thinking? He said, no, everything is fine here. No.
Does that have anything to do with your thinking? My thinking is just thinking if you ever plan to reach your goal, about your thinking, change anything, you want to change anything about your thinking, you think it's okay the way it is?
graduation after, I think, 52 weeks in his case.
Well, we have come to the end of an era. We have come to the end of our 11th CET class. From here, we shall all move on in our own sacred directions. We will take with us the memories of friendships made and the memories of over a year of lectures on various educational topics. What have I gotten out of CET? Well, when it all began, I was still of the mindset that I don't have a serious disability. It has always been very hard for me to assess any limitations which I might have. I have suffered from bipolar disorder, and I have suffered from schizoaffective disorder. It has plagued me through my teenage years and well into my 20s. But you know what? I'm 30 now. I understand that I have limitations, but I have also come to realize that I have a lot to offer this world. Whether it be through my writing, my music, or my knowledge of the Bible, I know that I am a worthwhile person. Perhaps I'm not the person my parents were hoping for, but you know what, that's just too bad. Because I'm living my life for myself now, and I'm going to pursue the things for which I am passionate about. But getting back to CET. At first, I was skeptical at best. It seemed like CET was going to involve a large amount of time and effort. But I had resigned myself to the fact that I was going to go. I thought that the least I could do was bring in a comfortable chair to sit in.
Probably camp chair and sit in himself.
Always fun, but hey, I was comfortable. I especially had fun with Sam's presence. His energy and sincerity was a pleasure, and I always enjoyed working on the computer exercises with him. Me and Sam had a connection because we were both musicians. But not to take anything away from Ray and Carol, they were always kind and supportive, trying to help us all get the most out of CET. When CET began, I was convinced that I did not have any limitations. It was written on the poster, and I looked at it every week. I see now that I do have limitations. I don't think I could ever be successful in a 9-to-5 job, and I know that I don't want to wear suits and ties every day. Yes, I have limitations, and I see that now. But that does not mean that I can never be successful. All of us here in CET are intelligent people, and we all have limitations. But the good thing is that we never stop learning. Thank you.
So I'll show you another clip here in a couple minutes. So a couple things that I think are really interesting in this one is the fact that when you can see the real difference between before and after. Okay? And the graduation ceremony is in front of relatives, case managers, workers, whatever, usually 25, 30 people, something like that, with a dinner or in a celebration, they get a little certificate, etc. And the client's supposed to go up and hopefully read their little graduation speech that they have based on some things they've learned in CET and done that. So I think Danny did a really great job. One thing that struck me when I see this is that he's able to take the perspective of Carol and I, Carol, my fellow coach, of how we might be hurt if you listen nice things about Sam, but didn't say anything about us too. So that's really nice in that. So it's really good to be able to bring a lot of those things in and really do someone who was very much in denial of his illness to be much more accepting of the fact that he had this illness and was able to go on from that. Any questions, comments?
You have stable up there now. What can you give a kind of feel for what is stable? I mean, what, where are they at?
Let's see. Let me see if I have that down here. Clients who are, not acutely ill, that are able to be in a group and have some dialogue with other clients. So, these are clients that we work best have major cognitive deficits. That they're able to read at 5th grade level, that they're not actively using alcohol or substance abuse. If they've had experience in that, that's okay. If they've been sober for maybe 3 or 4 months and got an active recovery plan, that's good. The ideal one is someone who has some prior vocational or educational successes, but doesn't have to be, and someone who has some motivation to try and change their lives. So the CET really works great with amotivational clients. You're really able to hook them in and do things. So these are ways that we've been able to benefit clients. I haven't talked about how to tap dance yet, but we're working on that. The main thing is that they become active thinkers. So they think for themselves, they have the mental stamina to be able to sit in a group for an hour and a half, sometimes longer, and really process stuff. They have cognitive flexibility. They're able to do things differently. Do so. This is a recent study, published in 2009, on working average age of 25, early onset schizophrenia. And you really see that the processing speed, not much there, okay? Because they were much younger. They came into the program with we had to do a test for processing speed, where the clients in the first study were when they graduated, so younger, so they didn't have that. But again, increased cognitive style and social cognition and adjustment. And actually some of them symptoms, because these are younger folks who don't really have not really learned how to manage illness, as well as folks who've been out longer. So,
Question.
How old?
average age 25.
What is cognitive style?
That's this, you know, if you're really rigid in your thinking or disorganized,
okay.
polished, really improve that a lot. And this one is really, to me, one that's really exciting. Competitively employed. 13 out of 24 people were competitively employed. And the bottom line here is also really good. Yeah, they achieved employment in CET, and they maintained these compared to the EST folks before. The two achieved employment and two maintained that. But 6 people lost employment over here, 0 here. And bottom line, the weekly earnings, $208 versus $70. Okay. So people are able to get jobs, hold jobs, make some decent money and stuff. These are agencies that currently have trained staff. These are the folks that we are currently in training. Last couple of ones we're doing in St. Louis and in Louisville. We've got these folks that are in sites, in development. These good-looking folks, second only to you all, these good-looking people, were folks who were at the second coaches conference last year. We have another one in about 4 weeks in Cleveland again. It's part of the thing we try to do today, maintain fidelity to the model. This is one of Sam's quotes. He was a great musician, folk singer and stuff, but really talking about a cognitive rehabilitation specialist, someone who really takes in the situation and really weaves this through and keeps challenging different things and really being very spontaneous himself. So learning how to do this, that's something you can just open up a manual and do. It really takes a lot of teaching for how to become a CET coach and a therapist. So lessons learned is it's a really different way of running a group than a traditional group, because you're really doing a lot more of the coaching, a lot more of the challenge and response and support type stuff than doing a traditional one. We really see clients in, as I said before, a really different way of how impaired they truly are. If you ask a lot of questions, we talked before about hot cognition, where the clients get them to think on their feet. The coaches have to have super hot cognition. You've got to be thinking ahead a couple steps of what you're going to do, what kind of thing you're going to ask for clients. It's okay if a client fails, and oftentimes as clinicians, we don't allow our clients to fail. We want to do things for them. It's easier, it's quicker to do. And be able to learn a whole new thing that a lot of folks don't want to learn something new. I commend you for coming here, at least thinking about this and doing it. And then you can really learn how to be confident doing this whole new software that we have. But you can do it. If an old guy like me did it, you guys can do it. Okay. This is from one of our graduates. When Daryl was in CT, he was working on his bachelor's degree, in psychology from Cleveland State. He was able to finish that. He went on and got his master's degree in art therapy from Boston College. And he's a great guy. He could also do things much quicker than I could on the computers. Some things, he was just amazing. If he didn't have schizophrenia, he'd probably be a multi-millionaire now. His personality and intelligence and drive was really amazing. But really what's good was talking about working with Anita and seeing that learn to be a partner and not a competitor. It's a real shift in how someone relates to other people. And Daryl really matured. He was a great guy. Loved being around him. Lots of jokes and stuff. Star softball player. Daryl's about 6'4" and about 280, and was the star on his church softball team. He was MVP for many years and stuff. But he's also a great big kid. CET helped him to mature. I miss the kid, but I really value the adult that came from here. And this is a new slide I just put in about the award that we got. I think what's really good about this is that the federal government is beginning to recognize the importance of cognitive remediation and the effectiveness of CET as a particular form of cognitive remediation. And this is an interview I did with one of our graduates, Jeff. When Jeff first came to CET, he was a very angry person. And he would sit in CET, and if something didn't go right, he would stomp his foot. Jeff's about 240, 250, about 5'7", and was someone who really specialized in martial arts and stuff. So he's very angry, and he would kind of demonstrate that. And we really mellowed him out. He ended up getting a job working at an ACT team as a peer specialist. He's been employed there for, I think, close to 6 years now. And goes out to speaking engagements for them and stuff. If you want to read the full interview, it's on our webpage. This is about a quarter of what it is. It's in the handout, but the full interview is 2 pages long and stuff. And you have a nice picture of what Jeff did. They did a nice job, NAMI did, in doing this. That's it. I've got about 10 minutes for questions and answers. Jim, I'll give you a second. You first?
Okay. How did you get, was it Dan that we watched the video? How did you get him into the program and out of the parents' face?
His parents, as his guardian, said, you need to do this. And the first group that we did, it was in Cleveland, was that basically I told my clients, trust me, this is going to work for you. And after we did the first 2 groups, the other folks just lined up to come in to CET. They saw the change in their peers, so it was not a hard sell. Although Dan, it was basically his parents wanted to, but he also wanted to change. He recognized that there was something there. He could have not shown up, but he did come in.
Was he on medication?
He was on medication, oh yes. It's on clozapine. Tim?
Are there any states that build us on your activity of daily living skill training?
Not that I'm aware of, but doesn't mean you couldn't do it.
Are any of the states have the Medicaid rehab option, like Indiana has?
I don't know that. Right now we're building in Pennsylvania. Ohio does not.
Texas does.
West Virginia, Texas pays for crap. Texas is second only to Mississippi the amount of mental health services they're doing. They are pretty, I have a lot of people I know in Texas, and I get, the Hogg Foundation, HOGG, has a really great website, and they'll do a daily email to you on what's currently going on in mental health and stuff. And what I'm seeing in Texas, they're just decimating people.
In Indiana, we have a broader definition of ADL skills that include developing skills in social interactions, self-management, abilities, problem solving, especially related to resocialization. I'm wondering if we would be able to build under that umbrella.
It'd be worth exploring, certainly.
And the follow-up question to that is, if we could, do you train bachelor level people to do this?
Yeah, the coaches that we train, most of them have master's degree, but it's not required. Everybody from PhD psychologists to nurses, psychologists, social workers, primarily social workers, rehab counselors, music therapists. We're looking for people who can think abstractly, can look outside the box, and can have, we hope, some hot cognition stuff. And are willing to try and be cognitively flexible. So if you have staff who can do that sort of stuff, it really doesn't make a difference, if they have a doctorate or not. You can work with them.
The more education you have, less flexibility.
It can be. It took me actually running 2 group cycles to really get the full impact of CET by understanding completely. The first one I kind of got it, and the second one I went through, I really was able to put all the pieces together and see that. But if you have somebody who's a big picture thinker, who really wants to do this, and is willing to do some hard work, this is hard work. But it's also very rewarding because you get people to see change in ways that doing other kinds of therapy just doesn't do it for this population.
And somebody being trained would have to commit to 14 months of weekly activity.
Right. So if you're running a group, you run a group now, you stop doing the group you're doing, do CT instead. But there's additional hours of training and reading about doing this, and you go through the whole process. But you get to see things differently.
What if you wanted to go on a cruise?
Well, if you take your trainer from Cleveland from the Center for Cognition Recovery with you on the cruise, it's permitted. Around the world cruise. But what we do, we do take vacations and time off and stuff to do that. So we're cognitively flexible about that.
Some of your bar charts were results after the second year, but the program
First year.
is 1 year.
This was done, they were doing it a longer version in Pittsburgh, but most of it gets done in the first year. And so we basically have reduced down from basically 55 weeks down to 48 weeks during this.
How much does it cost if you don't have insurance?
Well, it's probably somewhere around $7,500. Yeah, it kind of depends. Well, in Ohio, we billed some privately individuals what Medicaid paid us. So that was the same amount that we did. What we found is that if you can have an average of 7 or 8 clients in a group, then it meets all the costs and then some for an agency. So it's actually income producing for some agencies to do CET. And if you have 9, 10, because again, you're doing an 85–90% attendance rates. I had some clients who didn't miss a single session all the way through. So it really
What's
is
the
a very effective way.
min and max of the size of the group?
Like
Like 8 to 12?
I think the largest group we ever did was 12. Smallest we've done is probably 5. And when we did it at Jewish Family Services in Cleveland, we trained them to do 2 groups. The next set of 2 groups, when we were there as just more of a consultant, they went out and they said they had 22 people that wanted to be in CET. They saw what their peers were doing. So they had 2 groups of 11, figured we'll lose 1 or 2, make a nice manageable group of 9 clients. Didn't happen. All of 22 went through and all of 22 graduated. So it made the group, rather than an hour and a half, made it 2 hours long. The clients hung in there and they did that. And were successful in graduating.
So this is not a kind of group that would be open group.
Yeah, it's a closed group. I'm sorry, exactly. It's a closed group. So the same.
People have to commit for the
year. And one of the reasons why we did it 48 weeks rather than 55 weeks was that it's less than a year. We have clients who've been going to the same groups, the ADL skill group, the medication management group for years and years. Now, they can't do it for a year. No, you've been doing it already for so many years. So we try and make it for 48 weeks, it's less than a year. But the reality is that it tends to go over a little bit. Well, I want to thank you all for your great attention. Remember, you set attention, you maintain it, you should get back and forth and stuff. Hopefully I improved some of your working memory here. Take home the motivational account piece of it to use with your clients. Go on the website, which is cetcleveland.org, and explore that and look at all that sort of stuff. And I'll hopefully be working with folks here in Lafayette, trying to find an agency that we can work with and do something. Maybe do this new broader definitions of ADL and get some funding for it. I'd be very excited about working with you all. So, thank you very much.
Can you recycle your bottles on the table and get them recycled?
Sure. Thank you, sir, for coming. I know the bigger chunk of your time.
We need to make it. Thank you.
I knew Denise through the